Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me for this week's edition of Telile 24/7. I'm your host, Adam Cook, and boy, have we got a busy show for you this week. Later on, I'll take a visit to the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce Annual General Meeting and Spring Awards Dinner. And we're also going to catch up with a local member of the new Youth Council for Agriculture that was announced by Minister Greg Morrow just a few weeks ago. Her name is Courtney Schmidt. She works at Galloping Cows Fine Foods in Port Hood. We'll talk to Courtney a little later on. And we have not one, not two, but three different segments featuring our Fast Five game, including a couple of very special segments coming up a little later on in the show. But we begin by opening up Pride Month. It's going on throughout June here in the Strait area and around Canada. And for the first time in 2 years, there's going to be a Pride Parade in Port Hawkesbury. To talk about this and about all the other activities that are taking place as part of Pride Month, I caught up with Port Hawkesbury's Pride Month facilitator, a good friend of Telile 24/7, Taylor Linloff. Here's our conversation from Granville Green's Green Space in Port Hawkesbury. Taylor, first off, this is going to be the most elaborate Pride Month schedule Port Hawkesbury and the Strait area have ever had, and it's certainly going to be the most public schedule since these events started just 2 years ago due to the restrictions of the pandemic being lifted on March 21st. How are you feeling as we head into all of this?
I'm very excited. Port Hawkesbury has been very supportive and welcoming to the LGBTQI and Two-Spirit communities. People have been very excited to get back and start doing events again, start supporting their LGBTQ plus intersex and Two-Spirit friends. We've already been going to businesses, inviting them to our events. We're doing a pride flag raising on Wednesday, June 1st at 3 p.m. at the Civic Center. Everyone is welcome to attend. And we're going to be doing some more exciting events that are going to be released very soon.
As you mentioned, Port Hawkesbury Town Council has been openly supportive of the events that have taken place for Pride Month in 2020 and 2021. But just last week, at a special meeting of Town Council, the entire council approved a wide range of activities that are being planned for Pride Month this year. How does it feel, Taylor, knowing that you and your fellow LGBTQI community members have Town Council in your corner?
It's absolutely amazing. I watched and was indirectly part of the council meeting. I was working that night, but we sent off a draft letter to them about the information that we needed since I was unable to do a presentation, and they approved it within 20 seconds. It was fully unanimous, and Mayor Brenda Chisholm-Bean has been an amazing help to our Pride Committee, as well as Lisa Doucette-McHugh, who I want to shout out for giving us assistance as well. Mayor Brenda and Lisa have been extremely supportive. They've been go-getters. They've been helping create events. They've been helping me bring out letters to businesses. And they're really showing true allyship, learning my pronouns, being supportive, and just wanting to be part of supporting LGBTQI and Two-Spirit individuals across Unama'ki, Cape Breton.
Pride Month officially starts on Wednesday, June the 1st, but a lot of people might not know that Pride activities have already started in Port Hawkesbury. Can you tell us about one that you kicked off just a few days ago, Taylor?
Yes, a couple days ago we actually hosted a Pride paint-along where I taught people how to make their own Pride flag, as well as taught them the history of Gilbert Baker's 1978 Pride flag. And did you know that there's actually 6 different meanings to the Pride flag colors? I highly recommend checking out the Port Hawkesbury Pride page because all the video is there and you can check it out. You can learn some amazing things. And we're also going to be doing a Pride flag raising on Wednesday, June 1st. We'll be taking our painted rocks from our Pride paint-along, raising the flag at the Civic Center, going down the AT Trail down to Grants Pond, and leaving our rocks at the Fountain of Love to help support and bring some community spirit to the general area of Port Hawkesbury.
Well, in addition to activities like this at Grants Pond for the Fountain of Love, and in addition to a Pride karaoke that's taking place at the Carriage House on the evening of June the 10th, the Pride Month activities will culminate in Port Hawkesbury's first Pride Parade in 2 years, and only its second ever. Obviously, you were heavily involved in the first Pride Parade, Taylor, being a driving force behind getting it off the ground. What can you tell me about what you remember from that night in Port Hawkesbury that lifts you and drives you as you get ready to start Pride Month here over the next couple of days?
The last Pride March we had, we were standing in the parking lot hoping that we were going to get 12 people, and we ended up getting about 300 as the time hit to start. And we're really hoping to bring back that energy, and everyone felt so welcome. We had two-spirit individuals from across Unama'ki, Cape Breton. We had people as far away as the Halifax Regional Municipality come over. We had people from across Cape Breton. We had parents, we had grandparents, we had family members, we had friends, we had LGBTQ individuals. It was so unifying. It was a healing experience for me, honestly, as somebody living in a rural community who is queer. And I'm really hoping that we bring back that sense of community, that sense of togetherness, that pride, and mostly that love that I felt. I think everyone felt it because I saw parents carrying signs like, "We love our queer..." I'm getting emotional, I apologize. We had parents holding signs saying that we love our LGBTQ plus children. We had grandparents walking with their grandkids who came out recently. We had so much support, so much love, and everyone was so happy to be part, even though the weather was terrible that day. But hopefully we don't bring the rain this year.
Well, whatever the weather, it's obvious that a Pride parade can be a fulfilling event, and you've had experience with this in your younger years. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Taylor?
My parents, including my late father Conrad, brought me to my first Pride parade in 2015. It would have been June 2015. It was in Halifax. And my dad was very supportive. He was actually watching, standing behind me, just taking in as I took in all the sights. And actually at one point, the United Church had some walkers. And one woman, she was probably in her 60s, I'd say, she came over, and this was pre-COVID, of course, so she took my hands and told me I was beautiful and loved, and that stuck with me as a queer individual. And then she continued to walk with her parade, and they were holding signs saying things like, "God loves you," and "You're accepted, and we care about you." And to see a church do that, I think, is really important and really appreciated, at least in my perspective, because as many people know, there are some tensions between the LGBTQ plus and two-spirit communities and the church, unfortunately, because sometimes people like to use different aspects of their identity to use bigotry towards others' identities.
It seems like you're coming full circle from that experience, knowing that St. Mark's United Church here in Port Hawkesbury is one of your key supporters for the Pride Parade coming up on June 26th. It's actually going to be leaving from the parking lot at St. Mark's United Church, and they've been very open about promoting the Pride events as well. How does that make you feel, Taylor?
I love that. I love to hear that. And when we were speaking to Dave, that's Mayor Brenda's contact for St. Mark's, and he was very, very affirming. So thank you to St. Mark's for allowing us to use your facilities and for taking part as well.
Taylor, the June Pride Month activities here in Port Hawkesbury and across Canada are coming at an interesting time because the latest census figures from Statistics Canada indicate that not only are a record number of people identifying themselves as transgender or non-binary, but the highest provincial percentage of those people in the country is right here in Nova Scotia. What do those figures mean to you?
I was pleasantly surprised. I did not expect that Nova Scotia would have the highest rate of self-reported trans and non-binary people. We are at 0.48%, which is about, if I remember correctly, 0.01% ahead of British Columbia. I expected them to be the highest. And the fact that people feel safe enough in Nova Scotia to self-report and know themselves to report as LGBTQ plus in general is very, very comforting. There's a lot of good work going in the province, whether through general awareness, through the Youth Project, which is a charity which helps LGBTQ plus and two-spirit youth across Mi'kma'ki, Nova Scotia. There's also a Unama'ki Cape Breton chapter in Sydney. So people are starting to become more aware, they're starting to be more accepting, and GSAs, gender sexuality alliances, are popping up in schools. People are starting to learn about not just the community themselves, but about themselves. And I found actually there's a high leaning during the pandemic that people were starting to learn about themselves more, whether they were exploring their gender, exploring their sexuality, things like that, because people weren't expected to go out in public and perform gender. People weren't having to adhere to gender roles as much when they were working from home on their tablets, on their computers. And I know a lot of people who actually came out as transgender or non-binary after the pandemic, which is wonderful for them because they got to understand a part of themselves better.
That's an interesting observation, that it could be a healthy byproduct of the pandemic and of social distancing restrictions, that people who were used to being a certain way in public stopped and took a hard look at themselves and realized exactly who they were and quite possibly who they were meant to be.
Yeah, like the pandemic is obviously a horrible experience, a very traumatic and stressful experience for everyone, but I think it taught us what was important to each and every one of us. And in some cases, a lot of people learned that they were important.
Can you give our viewers a sense, Taylor, of how you feel this all ties into your own personal journey of discovery, knowing that you are a non-binary queer person?
Yes, I identify as non-binary, which means I do not fit into the box of genders of male and female. I like to say that I'm just Taylor. I use they, them, which are gender-neutral pronouns. For example, their name is Taylor, or they are going to the store, or this is their set of pronouns, instead of using he or she, because I don't feel like a man and I don't feel like a woman. I'm just simply me. I experience something called gender dysphoria, which means that I feel a disconnect when referred to as a woman or a man, and I choose to socially transition, which means I have chosen to live as myself. I have chosen to show myself more androgynously, wearing less makeup, or if I do wear makeup, it's to look more androgynous. Sometimes I lean a little more feminine, but that doesn't mean I'm a woman.
So it's been 7 years since younger Taylor Linloff went to their first Pride Parade. Do they feel now that we are living in a more accepting society, not just around the world, but here in the Strait area where so many activities are going to be taking place? Do you feel like the environment is more inclusive than it ever has been?
When I went to that first Pride Parade, I was just starting to feel my way as a non-binary person, because I realized in around 2014, 2015 that I was not cisgender, which means I do not... Cisgender means that you align with the gender that you were assigned at birth, and I do not. I wore a trans flag pride pin, and I was still very, very closeted for the most part. I was still trying to figure out who I was. And move forward all these years later, and I'm more confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am at this point. I still experience gender dysphoria when I'm misgendered, which means someone accidentally or intentionally refers to me as a woman. It happens, unfortunately, but we're all still learning. But honestly, I think things have gotten a lot better. I officially came out to the public last year at last year's Pride flag raising, actually. And even though I've been living as a non-binary person, knowing that I was non-binary for a few years now, but people were very accepting. People are starting to use my pronouns. I'm actually considering wearing a they, them pronoun pin, and I feel safe to do that now. Versus when I was first realizing who I was, I may not have been comfortable doing that. People are starting to come around. Awareness and acceptance go hand in hand for some things and not for others, but in this case, it does. Sometimes I admit that I'm being hyper-visible as a Pride facilitator for the town of Port Hawkesbury, and that's okay to me. I have experienced homophobia, I've experienced transphobia throughout my years as a bisexual, queer, non-binary, trans-identifying person, and I can take it. If you want to say something, you can say it right to my face, because I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the people who are closeted still, who are scared to come out, or for their safety can't come out still. We're still in a rural area, and even if we were rural or even if we were in a city, there's unfortunately always going to be someone who has hate in their heart. But the first Pride March I did was because someone did have hate in their heart, and I think that kind of blew up in their face because we had 300 supporters come out to send love, not just to Mayor Brenda Chisenbean, who received a horrible email about raising the pride flag, but it showed people in our communities that they are loved and they are respected. So for every one person that has hate in their hearts and does not want to support people being who they genuinely are, there's clearly 300 more that want you to know that you are cared about. And I am one of those people who care about you. If you need someone to come out to, you can message me on Facebook. You can talk to me. Don't think that you have to live in the closet in Nova Scotia. You don't. You are allowed to be who you are.
Taylor, you had an interesting discussion on Facebook just a few days ago about the concept that pride saves lives, and I really wanted you to share that with our viewers. Can you tell me what pride saves lives really means?
Yeah, I designed a shirt within the last few days. It's a black shirt with a brick wall that says Pride Saves Lives. Because while we acknowledge the rainbow flag and all of its meanings, the fun of pride events, the community rallying together, parades, karaoke, lip sync for your life, drag queens, I think it's really important that we also get back to what pride is about, which was trans women of color and other queer, trans, black, indigenous people of color who stood up against police brutality, homophobia, transphobia, biphobia at the risk of their safety. And honestly, pride is still stigmatized at times. People love to be part of the party, to be part of the fun, but LGBTQI and two-spirit individuals are still heavily stigmatized. I'm part of a group chat that was talking about how we lived as closeted, how we were sometimes afraid to come out, how we also faced other barriers such as mental illness, physical disability, people who were racialized. And we acknowledge that really pride saves lives because it gives us a community, it gives us a safe space, whether it be a grand parade or just a quiet, safe space where we can talk about our issues. People need to feel like they're not alone. And while, of course, the parties and the parades and the events are a great way to bring the community together to acknowledge pride, we still need to get back to, in ways, we still need to get back to our roots.
We've covered a lot of ground here, Taylor. Is there anything else you'd like to add about Port Hawkesbury's Pride Month activities or any of these issues just before we wrap up?
June 26th is our official Pride Day events. We'll be doing a parade starting at St. Mark's Church. We'll be doing a charity barbecue afterwards at the waterfront to help support the Cape Breton Youth Project. They provide gender-affirming care, they provide safe spaces and education for Two-Spirit and LGBTQ plus youth across Mi'kmaq and Unama'ki, Cape Breton / Nova Scotia. And we'd love to see you take part. You can follow us on the Port Hawkesbury Pride page for more information. And if you want to get involved, feel free to contact me. It's much appreciated.
You'll hear more about Pride Month in Port Hawkesbury and in general from Taylor Linloff a little later on Telile 24/7. But now, here's the first of our 3 Fast 5 segments this week, and it's a very remarkable one because never in the 2-year history of Telile 24/7 has anybody who ever played the Fast 5 asked to do it again. But Greg Morrow did, so the Agriculture Minister and MLA for Guysborough-Tracadie is going to take another crack at 5 new questions. Here it is, the first return visitor to the Fast 5 on Telile 24/7, Agriculture Minister Greg Morrow. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a history-breaking moment on Telile 24/7. We have the first return visitor to the Telile 24/7 Fast 5. He is Nova Scotia's Minister of Agriculture and the MLA for Guysborough-Tracadie, Greg Morrow. Greg, I can't believe you want to put yourself through this again.
Listen, Adam, this is my favorite segment on Telile 24/7. I'm just glad to be doing it again.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. The questions don't really get any harder. They might get a little goofier, but we'll give it a try. Here we go. Fast 5, take 2. Here is the first question. Does ketchup go on hot dogs?
Was always a yes. Now mustard only.
Now mustard only. You have grown and evolved in your hot dog consumption.
I've become much more cultured. Yes.
There we are. We'll pass the Great Poupon in a couple of moments. Okay, finish this sentence. My summer in Guysborough-Tracadie is not complete without
Ball games.
There
Yeah.
we are. Still like to get out on
Lots
the
of
field.
lots of good ball action. My youngest daughter Lucy just started playing ball last summer. Really enjoys it, and was very excited to hear that the Broadhorns are making the return to the AGR. So I can't wait to get out and watch them.
Go Guysborough Broadhorns. Good to hear that. That's terrific. The last book you read.
Oh goodness, that's going back a ways because just
It's
with
not Dr. Seuss, is it?
no, not quite that far. But I mean, going back, certainly not a lot of time to read a book these days. But the last few years, you probably know what it's like. You're on a phone and you're scrolling through social media, you're going through Twitter and all those things. It would probably be. I think maybe Steve Simmons wrote a book on the Leafs that I would have read like 6 or 7 years ago while on vacation.
And you have a few months to read books on the Leafs right now because you're not distracted by being on TV. Sorry.
Thanks. You had to get that in there, didn't you?
I couldn't resist. You know. All right. Next year. Question number 4 on the Fast Five. Dream vacation.
Ooh, I'd probably have to say Disney. We had a chance to go as a family, and it's just as magical as you can imagine. And I was kind of skeptical going in, but as soon as you get off the plane, you feel it.
Wow. Florida or California?
Florida for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, been there with Disney, and beautiful spot. And if you go at the right time, you can see the Panthers and Lightning play.
Nicely done. There we are. Good. So you get some hockey anyway. That's great. Tie it all together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And last question. Favorite flower?
Favorite flower would have to be a rose.
Nicely done. Yes. Any particular color?
White rose.
White rose. That's
Yeah.
the first time someone's ever said that for the Fast Five. Well done. And there you are. You are now Fast Five magna cum laude, Greg Morrow. You've gone through 2 rounds, and congratulations, you did it.
Repeat champion. I'm the Mateo Roach of Fast Five on Telile 24/7.
Nicely done. There we go. We'll say retired undefeated from the Fast Five. Although if you're a sucker enough to do 3 rounds, third. Greg Morrow is Nova Scotia's Minister of Agriculture and the Guysborough Trackety MLA, and the first person to play the Fast Five twice. Thanks again, Greg.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Now, when he's not busy answering Fast Five questions for Telile 24/7, Agriculture Minister Greg Morrow has been working hard putting together a new Youth Council for Agriculture. And one of the local members of that youth council is a familiar face to anybody who has ever seen Galloping Cows' fine foods on their shelves. She is Courtney Schmidt. She's worked with the company for several years, and she has some interesting observations not only about agriculture as a whole in this part of Nova Scotia, but in a rising number of female farm owners here in the province. So let's get some insight on that and much more with Courtney Schmidt right now. And now joining us by Zoom from Port Hood, we have one of the newest members of the Youth Council for Agriculture here in Nova Scotia. She is Courtney Schmidt. Courtney, thank you for joining me on Telile 24/7 today.
Thank you, Adam. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, and you come from a great experience and background in terms of agriculture, so we want to get into that a little bit. But first of all, I want to get your gut reaction. What did you think when you were approached to serve on this new youth council, and what were your initial feelings as you thought about whether it would be something appropriate for you to do? Just basically, what did you think?
Yeah, I was extremely excited to take part in this initiative. I grew up in an agriculture family business. I've been in 4-H most of my life, and I really believe agriculture is very important because it's really important to know where our food comes from and have that connection. So, especially because agriculture provides a tremendous number of jobs. It's very important.
Yeah. What do you think you bring to the table for this discussion? I mean, why do you think you were chosen, and what do you want to bring from your own personal experience in agriculture and in the food marketing business to be able to share with the other people that are going to be sitting around the table with you and with the minister?
I think it's not just about being appointed. I think it's very important that youth bring topics to us that we want to be brought to the table as well, to be discussed at the level with the minister. So I think it's very important. If anyone would like to reach out, I have a good listening ear and would be more than happy to bring anything to the meetings to be addressed, because I think it's very important that the youth do have their voice brought forward. We are the future of agriculture, and it's very important. So yeah, I'm very excited based on growing up in a family business in a rural area. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah. We want to talk about that family business in a couple of minutes, but first of all, I want to ask you a little bit about the idea of involving younger people in this conversation, because it's been almost a cliche for years, the idea of the long-running family farm, and that if you don't have children and grandchildren coming up that want to take care of it, then you lose the family farm. I imagine your parents, Ron and Joanne Schmidt, really imbued these values within you, but can you talk a little bit about why you feel it's important for succession training for that new generation of farmers and farm owners to be coming up, and how you hope your work on the Youth Council will be able to promote this as well?
Absolutely. I think it's very important, because if we don't have enough young people involved in agriculture or succession planning, as you mentioned, we don't have a future. So there is assistance from many programs such as like Farm Credit Canada or the Department of Agriculture. But if you don't have anyone directly in your family, you can always look further at like a nephew or a niece or even a neighbor that has worked for you for a long time. I think we don't talk enough about thinking broadly enough in succession planning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that you're going to be talking a bit about that as well, too. Now, I want to introduce our viewers to you directly, because I'd like to get a bit of your story and a bit about your background in agriculture. So you've worked for years with the family business, with Ron and Joanne Schmidt, your parents, in Galloping Cows based out of Port Hood. What do you think are some of the most important things that you've learned from them and from that whole experience? You're still involved with the company to this day. So what can you tell me about all of that, and why you think that's going to be helpful to you in your new position on the Youth Council?
Yes. So I think my parents have taught me a lot about thinking about what your strengths and weaknesses are and how those work for you and against you throughout your whole life. So in a family business, you always have someone to help, teach, work with you, also make you do the work that you're supposed to, and hold you accountable is one of the many, very strong lesson they have taught me.
Well, that's true enough. If you're supposed to be up at 4 to help start feeding the cows or the other livestock, and you're not up at 4, I think the people running the farm notice that you're not up at 4. So yeah, that would certainly be the case. Now, one of the things that Galloping Cows has become famous for over the last decade is the idea that you folks have had some high-level clientele, including providing gift packages and products to gift packages for the Golden Globe Awards, but also even for the Academy Awards. So a lot of celebrities have gotten to see the Galloping Cows line. So what do you take away from that, and in terms of the way that your parents handled all of that and dealt with all of these international orders and these high profile orders? What did that experience teach you?
Yeah. So we actually didn't get to go to the Golden Globes. Our products actually went. My parents couldn't afford to go at the time, nor take the time away from the business to go. So we actually just sent the products. So they did go, to, as you mentioned, to the Oscars gifting suite. That one was very special. They shut down the city for that one. So my parents did go to the Oscars with the product. I think what I really took away at that time, I was just a teenager. I was still in high school. And I really took away how important marketing is. At that time, like, the photography and video is starting to become very important. And I realized how important it would be to have these images for the future marketing of our business to set us apart and make our product, that very unique. I also realized, like, we didn't have social media. It wasn't as big here then. So realizing the importance of where those images would take our business was where I really gained the insight on marketing. And I love marketing.
So you're getting used to the idea that maybe that jar of jam should go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter before it even gets promoted elsewhere.
Yes, no, we do love the social media here. We love creating content together as a family. So yes, yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
very fun.
terrific.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier, Courtney, about the idea of young people getting involved in farms, and I'd like to get your perspective on women getting involved, not just as farmers, but as farm owners. Recent data suggests that there's been a spike in the number of female farm owners across Canada. What's your take on that? And what's your take on how gender plays into the new generation of farmers and agriculture owners here?
So when data was collected historically, the farmers who were put on the name, the farmers were put in the name of the male spouse. So what happens is that it only appears that men own the farms and that the women were not active owners. And so that was just based on, census data or the way the data was collected. And so doesn't mean that when the women were doing bookkeeping, they were also milking cows, running the tractors. The data may be misleading. It may be skewed just based on how it was entered at that time. Now, when they collect data, they go more in depth. They ask like, what percent of the farm do you own? What role do you have? And also like, how much have you invested in equity? So it's just the way the questions were asked. We're finding that the data collected is more inclusive and it gains a deeper insight.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. What's your take on the state of female farmers and farm owners these days, even just looking around Cape Breton or northeastern Nova Scotia? What's your sense on whether there is that uptake as opposed to simply the way the data is collected?
Oh, yes. So we are seeing that female farmers do need more funding, training, and support. They're very passionate and they work very hard, but they do need some help. There's a statistic that 57% of female operated farms actually generate less than 25,000 in gross farm receipts. So they're very passionate, but they work hard, but they do need help.
Okay. And on that note, just as we're winding down this interview, Courtney, I want to get your sense on just the general state of the agriculture industry, not just here in Cape Breton, but also across Nova Scotia. I mean, you're coming to this youth council knowing that issues have to be addressed, such as training, as you just mentioned. But what's your feeling on the state of the agriculture industry across the province, or even just here in our backyard at this point?
Yeah, I think it's very important that we do need more mentorship. So I think, having some kind of certification, apprenticeship, work experience, or centuries of knowledge is very important. It's not enough anymore to say that you can make this and be good at it. You need to be able to back it up with knowledge. And if you don't have that, you can always gain knowledge. You can always get more training, education. So one thing about knowledge that my parents have always taught me is that it will last you a lifetime. Some knowledge costs you and some doesn't, but you have to look at it that the knowledge will last you your lifetime. That's the important part. And so thinking about having a course in bookkeeping or welding or soldering, you got to think about the value it will give you in your life. And then if you go and work towards like organic certification, for example, you may look at it and then say that's 5 years that you're investing and you're working on land that wasn't in production before. But if you think of it over the lifetime of your business and your marketing and your upcharge based on the organic certification, you got to think of it long term and what value that brings to the land that you're farming on, and just like your expertise as well in being a business owner in agriculture.
We've covered a lot of ground in a short time, Courtney, as I thought we might. Did you want to add anything else about all of this just before we wrap up?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, for any youth that there's topics they would like to bring forward to the youth council to be heard by the minister. We really get together in these meetings and put our heads together to find solutions with the minister that can actively be implemented. So you can reach out to me by email or phone or any way they'd like to get in touch with me. Just see me anywhere out. Please just bring forward anything they'd like to be brought to the attention of the council. Like that's what we're here for, is to bring forward the what the youth are looking for to succeed and enter agriculture.
Well, we're delighted to have your perspective on all this, Courtney, and we want to congratulate you on your appointment to the Youth Council for Agriculture, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you again sometime. But thank you very much for giving me some time today on Telile 24/7.
Thank you very much, Adam. I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
All right, I hope so. Courtney Schmidt is with Galloping Cows Fine Foods in Port Hood, and she is one of the newest members of the Youth Council for Agriculture, put together by Minister Greg Morrow earlier this spring. Stay tuned for more of Telile 24/7 in just a moment. It's been a trying 2 years for the business community here in the Strait region. Pandemic shutdowns, social distancing, all kinds of restrictions, to say nothing of product shortages and a declining tourism market over the past 2 years. But with restrictions lifted on March 21st and several people getting back to business with their businesses and their various enterprises of different sizes, it's time to celebrate on this final Wednesday of May at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Centre. Before the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce started handing out hardware, the Chamber's Executive Director, Misty McDonald, reviewed what has often been a challenging past 12 months.
Our 2021-2022 year continued to be a bit of a roller coaster ride as we learned what living with COVID actually meant for our membership and looked forward to recovery. As we began our last fiscal year, we were soon under restrictions once more, forcing the postponement of events and seeing the impacts on the Strait region's business community. As the new variants of the virus spread, the Chamber participated in the Provincial Workplace Rapid Screening Program, distributing rapid test kits and protective supplies on behalf of the provincial government. By summer, we were able to hold events once more, and we're pleased to get out and meet Chamber members in St. Peter's, Port Hawkesbury, and Inverness at our summer socials. Our summer students assisted with these events and then helped to organize debates for the summer provincial and federal elections. In the fall, we held our annual golf tournament in September, FemPower, our rescheduled women's leadership event in October, and our Fall Awards dinner was held in November. We were successful in receiving $53,000 in federal funding for Shop Local initiatives. Our Step Up for Local campaign helped boost local spending through a variety of marketing initiatives, and most of the funding was reinvested directly with local businesses. With the support of our members, we had another successful fundraiser for the 12 Draws of Christmas. This is our largest fundraiser of the year, and we count on the membership to help make it as successful as possible. Throughout the year, we continued to advocate for business and to participate on committees and organizations that were focused on issues of healthcare recruitment, housing, immigration, port development, and exploring the potential for offshore wind. Perhaps some of the most exciting announcements came in the past few months with the purchase of New Star Terminals Canada by Everwind Terminals and the acquisition of the Bear Head project by Buckeye Partners LP. As we heard at our most recent State of the Strait event in March, the Strait region is well poised for regional growth as we transition to a greener energy future.
Speaking of transitioning, former Chamber President Dean Hart, seen here on the left, swore in his successor, John Willett of Bell-Alliant. Hart then reviewed the other members of the Strait Area Chamber Executive.
First Vice President Yvonne McDonald, Scotia Bank. Second Vice President David Greenwell, M3D Designs. Secretary Heidi McGuinness, Port Hawkesbury Paper. Past President Dean Hart. Treasurer Kevin McCachran, Acadia Broadcasting. Board members Cody McKeegan, Canso Ford. Heather Austin Coulomb, The Farmer's Daughter. Alana Richardson. Jeff Stanley, Viewpoint Realty. Ash Young, Inverness County, Centre of the Arts. George Youssef, A1 Pizza. Tyler Mathis, Cape Breton Partnership. Vivek Saxena, Nova Scotia Community College. Brian Bona, Strait Supplies, and Diane Poirier.
Along with the welcomes on this evening, there was also a farewell of sorts for a long-time Chamber of Commerce executive member who is stepping away from the Chamber, former Richmond MLA and Provincial Cabinet Minister, and longtime Vice President for Melford Marine Terminals, Richie Mann.
Richie joined the Board of Directors for the Strait Area Chamber in 2008 and spent 9 of those 14 years serving on the board's executive as first and second Vice President, then President, and past President. When we needed him to serve beyond his term as past President, he generously gave his time and commitment, He also served in roles with the Atlantic Chamber of Commerce. He has brought so much to the Chamber Board, as he is so well connected from his time as a former provincial cabinet minister and with his role with Melfort Terminals. Some say Richie has more connections than the Pope. That may be true, and we are certain Richie's memoirs will be the more interesting read.
I'm certainly wasn't expecting to say anything. I didn't expect this. I guess I've been on the board for about 14, 15 years now. And even though I lived in Dartmouth, I did my best to try and make a point to make every board meeting I could. And I have to say I enjoyed just about every meeting I was at. I enjoyed the work that the board did. I enjoyed working with the directors we had, the executive directors. It's been a tremendous experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. I wish the new board all the success in the world, and I wish all the members of the Chamber of Commerce great success going forward. Congratulations to all the award winners tonight.
Ah, yes, the award winners. Let's see who the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce chose to honor this year, beginning with a special award chosen by the Chamber President at each year's annual general meeting.
The AGM President's Award is awarded each year by the Chamber to an individual or an organization that has demonstrated outstanding commitment to the Chamber of Commerce, to their business, and to their community. Bill Stewart, originally from Mulgrave, Bill has been a resident of Port Hawkesbury for many years. Bill retired in 2019 with over 40 years of experience in the hydraulic industry. In 1997, Bill started B&N Distributors with his business partner, Neil McDonald. The business quickly grew due to their inability to say no and fantastic customer service. It may be the same inability to say no that led Bill to being one of the Chamber's best supporters. He's been the top seller for the 12 Draws of Christmas for many years, an avid golfer. He's always willing to lend a hand for the golf tournament when we need him. If there's one word to sum up Bill Stewart, it's reliable. When Bill makes a commitment to you, you can walk away knowing things are in good hands.
Only a few minutes after being sworn in as the Chamber's new president, John Willett had the honor of presenting the Jack Hartery Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award, and he took a couple of moments to explain Hartery's legacy in the Strait area.
Jack Hartery was a long-time member of the leadership team at the Point Tupper Paper Mill. He was very dedicated to his employees, a master of getting all members of his team working together, because first and foremost, he was a people person. He retired in 2001 as president and general manager of Stora Enso Port Hawkesbury Limited. Jack, as he liked to be called, was a big believer in supporting his community and shopping local. Stora, under his leadership, was active in supporting many community events, like the Stora Minor Hockey Tournament, as well as other organizations and events. Demonstrating every day the true linkages between hard work, commitment, and community, the winner of the 2021 Jack Hartery Lifetime Achievement Award is Harley McCall of AA Monroe Insurance.
Surrounded by several generations of family members on this special night, Harley McCall gave much of the credit for the success of AA Monroe Insurance to his late father-in-law who founded the company.
I do want to thank the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce for taking the moment to recognize AA Monroe Insurance, but in doing that, it really is Andrew Alcorn Monroe. Alcorn, in his day, taken from us early in 1990, was very unfortunate, but in his day, he worked strong for the community of the Strait Area and really believed in what we have here in the Strait Area.
Veteran Inverness County husband and wife duo Lisa Cameron and Vern McDougall entertained the crowd at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Centre on this special night, so it seemed only appropriate that the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce presented its Cultural Award of Merit to an enterprise that has kept Route 19 full of music, art, and other exciting endeavors over the past couple of years.
The Inverness County Council of the Arts, the ICCA as it will be forever known now, began as a charitable, non-for-profit organization established in 1984 with a vision to nurture, enable, and promote the artistic expression and fulfillment of all people. The ICCA is comprised of a volunteer board of directors, a seasonal staff, and a large membership and volunteer base. These individuals place a high value on arts, culture, and heritage. Over the years, the ICCA has been involved in various art exhibits, musical and theatrical performances, and cultural educational opportunities. The Council for the Arts became the Center for the Arts with its opening in its current facility in 2003. The 8,640 square foot center is located in a tranquil setting and includes a professional exhibition space, a gallery, a studio, a reception room complete with a kitchen, and a bar. The space has showcased the talents of local and world-renowned artists, hosted cultural seminars, demonstrations, and classes, and has been used as a space for meetings, social gatherings, and musical performances. Since hiring the executive director, Ash Young, in early 2020, the center has expanded its programming, now offering year-round gallery exhibitions, concerts, workshops, and classes. Since 2021, visual artists are compensated with professional artist fees, and the ICCA hosted its inaugural Inverness Sunset Concert Series, featuring Nova Scotia artists that attract a large fan base. Most recently, Ash partnered with other community groups to host a concert to fundraise for the Ukraine, bringing in a total of $19,000 in donations in a little over a week. The Inverness County Center for the Arts continues to be a cultural leader in the visual and performing arts. We congratulate the organization on its achievements to date and look forward to seeing its continued success.
First off, I'd just like to acknowledge the Board of Directors for believing in my vision for the Arts Center, that we could be open year-round, and to become a destination, or the top arts destination in Cape Breton. I'd like to thank all of the volunteers that work with us, all of our sponsors. I hope some more of you in this room might want to talk to me and join up and be part of our growth in the future, because we're just getting started. And I'd like to thank the contributions of people like service providers like SoundSource, John there, that really helped out and made us successful. Yeah, and I'd like to thank our funders. I think one funder at least is in the room, Destination Cape Breton. Thank you. And yeah, and watch out, because we got some good stuff coming this summer.
However, even though there's a focus on business at this evening's proceedings, the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce also looks to the greater community as it hands out its hardware at this particular ceremony, and that's where the Kevin Beaton Heart of the Community Award comes from. This year's recipient is retiring from her position as the Recreation Director for the town of Mulgrave after 14 years.
The recipient of the Heart of the Community Award is Heather Brennan of Mulgrave. The town of Mulgrave has a lot of special people, qualities, and aspects, but if you ask anyone what or who makes the community as wonderful as it is, you would hear one common answer: Heather Brennan. Heather has been an active volunteer in Mulgrave. In her early days, she volunteered with the Scotia Days Festival, the Mulgrave Winter Carnival, Kids First, and Mulgrave Youth Soccer. This spirit of volunteerism stayed with her as she transitioned into the role of Recreation and Physical Activity Coordinator for the town. Heather is an exceptional person who truly values bringing people together to foster community for youth, seniors, and everyone in between. Consistently coming up with new ideas to keep residents physically and mentally active, she has coordinated a multitude of events, programs, and initiatives. Her commitment to community is unparalleled, and most nights you will find her at the Mulgrave Memorial Centre, well beyond working hours, actively participating in many committees. Outside of work, Heather is the Secretary for the Mulgrave Area Revitalization Association, a Director of the Mulgrave Marina Association, and a member of the Luke MacDonald Pond Hockey Tournament Committee. Crossing the Causeway, she has been the head coach for the Sarek Saints Volleyball Club, and was instrumental in the 2020 grad committee who organized prom and grad festivities during the first wave of COVID. This list is by no means exhaustive, although it does sound a little exhausting to keep up with Heather. Heather fully recognizes that to have a healthy community means to provide outlets to socialize and strengthen relationships via services and events, and to be physically and mentally active via the many recreational opportunities provided by her department. With these healthy community pillars in mind, she had a dream to open a town fitness center that supports her goals of affordability for residents, while providing a new service in town. She formed a subcommittee, and together they made that dream a reality. After much planning and many fundraising initiatives, Ocean View Fitness Center opened its doors in October of 2021. In the words of her nominator, she is the heartbeat of our town, and there is nothing that she cannot accomplish when she sets her heart on it. Her dedication and leadership are second to none, and we are so grateful to have someone who not only understands the importance and value of connection, but goes above and beyond to deliver each and every day.
In addition to Heather Brennan, Chamber of Commerce members took the opportunity to award leadership in another arena, this time among the younger members of the community.
The Strait Area Chamber of Commerce is pleased to present the NSCC Leadership Award. This award was created to support and encourage leadership and community involvement among students at the Strait Area campus and includes a $500 bursary from the Chamber to a returning student to our local campus. This year's recipient is Boyd McIntyre. Boyd is a second-year marine engineering student. He is a dedicated student and passionate about his community. The Strait Area Chamber Leadership Award will assist Boyd completing his educational goals so that he can work towards becoming a marine engineer. Boyd was not able to join us tonight as he is currently on his C placement. He plans to continue his education in the Marine Engineering Management Technology at the Nautical Institute at the Strait Area campus and hopes to one day become a first-class marine engineer with a goal of eventually becoming a chief engineer.
And with last week's celebration of the successes of the past winding down, the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, its executive, and its members were looking forward to the months to come and the resumption of several events and activities that have been put on hold by the pandemic.
We are looking forward to resuming a normal event schedule for the upcoming year, including the return of the very popular Celtic Oktoberfest. Everybody loves beer and Celtic music. We are also looking forward to getting back out into the community to meet members face to face.
And as a busy day wraps up here at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Centre, including the annual general meeting of the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, local businesses are gearing up for one of their best springs and summers in nearly 3 years and hopeful that the momentum keeps growing as the pandemic era enters into its next phase without the restrictions that have been in place in Nova Scotia for so many months. In Port Hawkesbury for Telile 24/7, I'm Adam Cook. Earlier on in the program, you might recall that I interviewed Courtney Schmidt, one of the new members of the new Youth Council for Agriculture. Well, while I was on a Zoom call with Courtney Schmidt at her Port Hood office with Galloping Cows Fine Foods, I thought it might be fun to play the Fast Five game with her. And she was raring to go, as you'll see, as she answers the questions for our game. Here's Courtney Schmidt of Galloping Cows Fine Foods in Port Hood playing Telile 24/7's Fast Five. And joining us once again on Telile 24/7 to play the infamous Fast Five game from Galloping Cows Fine Foods, we welcome Courtney Schmidt. Thank you, Courtney, for playing the Fast Five with us. Are you all set to go?
Yes, Adam, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll start off with a basic question. Coffee, tea, or neither?
Neither.
Neither. Water?
Water.
Ah, there we are. Keeping yourself well hydrated. That's great. That's great. Next question. Dream vacation?
Oh, I think a beach, very coastal. We live in a
Okay.
vacation spot. We live in Cape Breton, yeah.
And you live in Port Hood, which is the
Yeah.
home of the 5 beaches. So
Yeah.
perfect tie-in for the Fast Five. That's great. All right. Complete this sentence. My life would be absolutely worthless if I didn't have.
Oh, my dog, Ben. He's a German Shepherd puppy.
Oh, that's lovely. How old is Ben?
He's 6 months. My family surprised me at Christmas with the puppy.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So he's all teeth and fur right now. That's great.
He is, yeah.
Oh, that's marvelous. Okay. Question number 4. Does ketchup go on hot dogs?
Yes.
Okay. That is the right answer, by the way. And last question. If I had a week to myself and could only watch one TV show to binge watch, what would that TV show be?
Oh, Bull. You know, the TV show?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's the one with the lawyer, right?
Yes.
The one with the lawyer, as if there's only one show that has a lawyer on it. So. But but it'd be all bull all the time for Courtney Schmidt.
Yes.
Spoken like a member of the Agriculture Youth Council. What are you watching? I'm watching bull.
Oh, yes, that's right.
There we are.
I never made that connection. It is my
There you
favorite
are.
show.
Well, it's no bull with Courtney Schmidt when we're talking about agriculture, and I'm glad to see that even though we finished with bull, it's complete honesty from Courtney Schmidt for the Fast Five. Thank you so much for playing, and thank you for joining us on Telile 24/7 today, Courtney.
Thank you, Adam.
All right. Courtney Schmidt is with Galloping Cows Fine Foods in Port Hood, and she is also the latest volunteer for the Telile 24/7 Fast Five. Now, I promised you 3 Fast Five segments this week, and here is the third and last of them. It's another return visitor to the Fast Five. Taylor Linloff was the very first person to play the game when we did Telile 24/7's debut episode in February 2020. Well, she's back for another round, but this time it's a very special Fast Five segment with 5 questions that have to do with Pride Month and the LGBTQI community. So, get ready for Telile 24/7's first ever Pride Fast Five. Are you all ready for the Pride Fast Five, Taylor?
Let's do this.
All right, here we go. So, first question for the Pride Fast Five. Your favorite Pride Month accessory?
Acceptance.
That is a fantastic accessory. All 12 months of the year, I might add. That's great.
It's always in season.
Yes, acceptance is always in season. You're right. Pride or LGBTQI entertainment icon?
Ooh, I have to go with Ryan Casada as of late. He's a transgender man from the States. He is an activist and singer.
All right, that's great. So we'll watch out for him for sure. Now, your personal Pride anthem?
I have 2, actually. As a non-binary person, I am very drawn to Androgynous by The Replacements and Daughter by Ryan Casada.
And I will say personally that I have loved the cover of Androgynous by the Crash Test Dummies since it first came out in 1991. So I'm glad we kind of share that as well. Next up, your personal hero in terms of LGBTQI leadership in elected politics or otherwise?
Honestly, I have to go with Mother Marcia, who is really known as Marsha P. Johnson. She threw the first brick at Stonewall, and she was the first leader in the LGBTQ community in modern Pride.
And I owe it to you for teaching me who Mother Marcia is, was, and always will be. So I appreciate that very much. And rounding things out, who would you consider a hero in terms of LGBTQI allyship right now?
Honestly, I have to go with regionally. I'm going with Mayor Brenda Chisholm Beaton for all the help she's doing and how accepting and supporting she's been of not only the LGBTQ plus community, but also reaching out and learning how she can be a better ally to the Two-Spirit community as well.
All right, and we'll see you and Mayor Brenda at the Pride flag raising coming up on Wednesday. And in the meantime, Taylor Linloff, thank you for joining me for this very special edition of the Fast Five. I really appreciate it.
It was super fun. Thank you.
All right. Taylor Linloff is the coordinator of Port Hawkesbury Pride 2022. We're speaking to them today at Granville Green in Port Hawkesbury. And there you have it, folks. That wraps up this week's edition of Telile 24/7. Thank you for tuning in, and a big thank you to my interview guests this week, Courtney Schmidt and Taylor Linloff. Thanks to Greg Morrow for playing the Fast Five once again. And a big thank you to the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce for allowing me access to their annual general meeting and spring awards dinner. If you have any thoughts about what you've seen over the past hour here on Telile 24/7, or just some suggestions for future shows, we'd be happy to hear from you. You can contact me personally, or you can get in touch with Telile Community Television in Arishat. And don't forget to follow Telile on social media. For now, I'm Adam Cook. Thank you once again for joining me for this week's edition of Telile 24/7. I'll be back next week with a brand new show. Bye for now.